welcome to a brand new episode of our renovation jobby where we're actually going to start constructing our deck. Look, we can see that our big nice ranch slider has gone in now. Holy heck, looking very nice. And you can obviously see the boys have already dug the holes and set the piles in place. Now, the size of the hole that we're going for is 450 wide by 450 wide by about 600 deep. And we want to be making sure that we're into nice good clay. You can see in this one we've actually got a big root that we've sort of gone around, but you can see that we're into good ground, and you can see by the pile over here that clay is everywhere. So it's good. Their boys have sort of, in this situation through here, we've obviously got this massive tree, right? And we sort of need to dictate where our posts go between that. Now we have a bit of flexibility. We actually can space our piles at 1.6 apart, but I've gone with 1.2 just to add extra strength through here, and actually make allowances for if the clients start to change their mind on how far out the deck actually goes. We can make allowances for that cantilever, and the calculation for our 2 kPa floor load will still work. But I'll discuss that with you all tomorrow probably, because I'm out of here. No point in me hanging around while Fabian mixes all these concretes. So he's going to mix it all up, pour it in. There is a bit of water in the hole. Now, I'm a little concerned. Well, I'm not actually that concerned. I was going to get them to mix the concrete in the hole, and then I was like, nah, we'll mix it in the barrel and pour it in the hole. And what that's going to do is that as soon as the concrete goes into the hole, the water is going to push up and come out of the hole, and it will still keep quite a lot of strength, especially if you mix it dry, Fabian. Don't mix it wet. Make sure that it's sort of dry, and once you go in, it'll be fine. It will save us hiring a pump or scooping all this water out. And there's not a hell of a lot in, well, that one there is, but there's none in this one. And then so looking pretty good. 125 by 125 poles, but hope you guys enjoy this one. We're going to sort of teach you exactly how we calculate our sizes of our posts, the depth of the holes, the spans of our joists, and all that good stuff. So yeah, we'll make sure that cut to Fabian mixing concrete. See you in the morning.
Don't you cry.
What are you doing?
I just cut the unpackers for the
Stringer.
stringer.
And what's that doing?
And that's gonna pack it out away from the wall, so that when water runs down, it can just flow straight past it and not get blocked up.
Beautiful, there you go. So that's our mission for this morning. We're bolting this stringer on. Now we've got this big 300 by 50 stringer that we're going to be bolting on through this block wall, and then our joists actually sit on top of it. Now the reason I've got such a big piece of timber is I can't bolt into this brick. It's hollow, it's soft, it's not a structural fixing really, but this blockwork here is filled up with concrete. Now, Mikey, pass your tape. Now, we've got to work off the top of this sill of the door here. We've got to come down 20 mil because the door actually sits up. So I'm just going to make sure that that's 20 mil. I've got a 190 mil joist, and then if, let's just say that's 190-ish there. Then I've got my 300 stringer. Now, the reason I've gone 300 is because we need to be bolting through at least 100-ish mil below the top of this block, and then we also need 50 mil of meat on the stringer itself. So you can imagine that my bolt will be roughly around here, let's just say. So we're going into good meat, and then the bottom of the string will be here, so the bolt will sort of almost be sticking out roughly around there. And that way we've got great structural support, if you could imagine that was up like that. So the boys are just going through doing that now, backing that. Old Davio has got the laser set up. He's doing the calculation between our joists, our bearers, and our decking, so he can cut the tops of those. But yeah, we'll be using epoxy and threaded rod to go through the blockwork into the concrete behind it. The reason I did that as well, another freaking reason, is because we've got 50 mil of timber, then we've got about a 15 mil packer, and then the block itself, it's just Hebel on the outside, it's not actually concrete. So it's another 50 mil. So we've got 100 mil, and then we want to try at least get 100 mil of good bearing point in there. So and inside the block work itself. So we'll be drilling about 150-ish through the block. Then we'll epoxy, put our threaded rod in, and that way we've got really good structural support. Most bolts don't really come in a stainless form like that, so we're just cutting these into 250s, which is pretty much the length we need, and then we'll go from there. But it looks like there's already dirt all through it, so we'll just get that cleaned up. That looks like it's been in Mikey's popo.
It's literally you.
Bro, I just dropped it on the ground. Hey, you suck. But yeah, so that's the plan. The blocky was meant to be in this morning so we could get our sills blocks in here, and then we could actually put our joists in and maybe even start building this deck. Actually building it, but we'll just see how we go. He called in sick. I did not expect that. Oh my god. Right, sweet. So the boys have gone through and they've actually marked out exactly where our bolt holes are going. We're putting them around 800 centers, making sure that we're going into solid concrete, which is really good. We've got galvanized threaded rods for this one. And Dave's just gone through and he's cut and installed this bearer. We put a Z nail on one side, and then we've just got a couple of staples on the other side like that. That's really going to hold the bearer to the post. We also put a slight chamfer on the edge. As you can see, what that's going to do is any water that comes down and through, it's going to sort of shed off the side, which is good. Now, come over here. We've got our big, this seems a little bit excessive, but we've got a 300 by 50 stringer that we're bolting on. Now the reason I'm doing that is because I need good bearing point into the block work there. As you can see, I'm about 100 mil low, and then that way we can get a good structural support for our stringer. And the boys have gone through and ripped, you can see they've ripped 12 mil packer on. It's actually 15, put some DPC on, and now we're just about ready to epoxy those in and put this up. But yeah, alright, looking good, eh? Shoot, just about small go, eh? Alright, so as I'm doing this, I'm just spinning the bolt, trying to get all the air bubbles out as I'm going in like this, and hopefully we see. Oh, stop it. That perfect, Dave. Yeah. Hey, that's perfect. Oh, that is so gonna stick right there. Side to the world, baby. Alright, so we've got our stringer bolted on and a double attached to it because I'm a little bit worried about our cantilever system that we've got going on here. We don't want the deck to go frunk, so we're going to have additional fixing points there, which is cool. Now, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mark out and try and get the edge of my deck nice and square with the building. So I'm going to use this chalk line and run it back over here because we don't have a string line because we're useless builders. And then Mikey's just going to pull it tight and come in and out. So the top of that block there, bro, is actually, okay, we'll go there. Go in, keep going in, come out, in, Yeah, bro, about there. Go in. Yeah, beautiful. You happy there?
Yep.
Sweet. Put a little mark. And what that's doing is that's getting a straight line from the exterior of our building to the exterior of our joist that we've got. Our bearer that you guys are sitting on. You got it? Yep. Inset our stringer 20 mil. That's so when we do our border board on, the deck is going to finish flush with the outside of the building, not stick past. Yeah, so now we're just going to quickly trim that off. That's our mark there. Now if we go in 20 mil, well, you can mark 20 mil, we'll just chop that off, and then we'll just parallel from this point to that end of the wall, same over here, and then we'll just get our joist layouts and we can start whipping in some joists, which is fucking awesome. We'll actually get some progress today. Hey,
Let's do it. Let's do it.
wow, you smell like poos, bro.
Like bum cracks. Wazowski.
Come and get it, boy.
Give it here.
I want to talk about layout here for our joist. Now we need to go 400 centers because we've got a 20 mil thick decking board. Nice hardwood one. I think we can go 450s, but we go 400s just to make it easier for ourselves. So as you can see here with our layout, on the edges of our decking, we've got a thing called a picture frame, right? And a picture frame is the decking board that comes around and it picture frames the outside of the deck, okay? So we need to allow for extra joists and blocking to support the edge of this deck and then the edge of the decking that butts into it. So what we do is we put a block and then another joist, and that way we've got fixings for both decking pieces. And then from that point, from that joist, we will go 400 centers just to push that out a little bit. Now, what else are we going to do to make this deck perfect? We want to try and make sure that we've got full board layouts all the way along, start to finish, right? So all we need to do is get our calculator out and calculate the size of our decking. So we've got 140. So what I might do is I might go about 144. So it gives us a bit of spacing, about 4 mils quite big. Maybe I go 143. I'll see what comes out. I'll go measure the decking and see what it's sitting at and then make that adjustment accordingly. And then we want to think about, so one last thing we need to think about is pretty much wanting to get a full board layout along this whole deck. There's no actual sizes on the deck itself, so we're just going to go to the furthest full board. Now we're pretty much going to space out our decking boards with like a 3 mil gap. So our decking board's going to be about 140 and then 3, and then we've got, so 140 and then 3 mil. So it's going to be about 143 for each decking board. Now I just do that calculation out to exactly where we're going to do a 3. It's going to be roughly 3.5 meters. So whatever's further, a little bit further, a little bit less, that's going to be our calculation. So then we can go through and cut these ends off where needs be. A few things to take into consideration. We've got a border board and a picture frame. So the picture frame sits 10 pil past our border board, and then we've obviously got a boundary joist that sits on here too. So just taking all that into consideration before we chop these off and frickin' So now we're just going to work our way back, making sure that our joists are nice and square. So you can see there's a bit of a gap there, so I'm just going to push that over and then I'm going to get Mikey to shoot it. Might use Galvies for this, but fuck, nah, better not. Happy there? Happy there? Yep. 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 Alright, sweet guys, so I'm going to try and wrap this deck framing video up by just talking about how we calculate our size of our bearer, our post spacings, and all that sort of good stuff. So the first thing we need to do is we need to actually figure out the loaded dimension of the bearer itself. And what I mean by that is the amount of kPa or kilopascals. It's a measurement of pressure, you could say. So the amount of pressure that's going to be sitting on top of this, you can use it for pipes and stuff like that, the amount of water flow that goes through them. But in this situation, we're using a deck, and the normal kPa we use for decks or floors is about 2 kPa, depending if there's any structural load on top of it or not. But we use that as our reference to sort of calculate all this sort of stuff out. So it seems a little bit confusing, but I've got a little diagram here that I've drawn, right? So we need to figure out the loaded dimension of this bearer here. We've obviously got our stringer that's attached to the building, and there's no real load on that. So the way we calculate it is we need to figure out the span between the stringer that's bolted to the house to the center of our bearer, right? And that span is 3 meters in this case. And then the span that sort of goes from the center of the bearer to the outside of our counterlever. Now, the way we do this is we get the span 1 and we divide that by 2, because that's our kPa, you could say, on this job. Can you see? Yeah. So we got to go 3 divided by 2 is 1.5, and then we add 0.5, because that's the span of span 2 over here, you could say, and that's going to give us a rating of what we call a loaded dimension of 2. Now we can use this number to now go to 3604 and calculate how thick this bearer needs to be and how far away our post is spacing. But I hope you guys enjoyed and that made sort of sense. We'll see you on the next one, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. A little bit of information on how to actually calculate your posts and bearings and frickin' while we're doing things that we're doing, and using the bolts and chem setting and frickin' all that good shit. And the boys have been smashing it, so see you on the next one, boys! Friday!